and foremost, this is Jay Costa. His dude is killing it. He's balancing being a father, husband, realtor, and investor slash flipper. You have a crazy network, dude. It's amazing how you were able to like leverage that in your real estate. So it's like both your companies are essentially have kind of like merged into one now, both your businesses, and you're able to like leverage both and just become like that go-to person in your.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you saying father and husband first and second over the other ones, because that is, I know it sounds so corny, but it's like something that's where it starts, like what we were just talking about. You know, when you have, correct, let me know if you disagree with me here, but I didn't start like actually really thinking bigger and working harder and stuff until not only I was married, but started having kids. That's when it started kind of really getting going for me. Before that, it was like, a little bit too easy to be like comfortable for me. Maybe that's just me or my situation, but I always tend to like, when I look up and I'm like, this is a little too comfortable. If I'm comfortable, I'm like, I have to make a change, you know? So that's always, something that I've used to kind of push myself a little bit to the next level. That's
interesting. Yeah. I had a similar thought, but in a different way, I guess. Yeah. So I was very like, before the family, right? I was very like, I had trouble grounding myself in things. I couldn't, stick with a job for too long. I couldn't stick with, like women for too long. Like everything had to be consistently changing all the time, like quickly.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then so it was funny, real quick story. I meet my wife. 3 months later, she tells me she's pregnant. After I meet her, I'm like, meat.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was like, whoa, it's not my kid, right? And she was like, no, it's yours. And I was like, oh man, okay. And then, dude, like, thank God, what are we, like 4 years in?
So you guys got started early.
Dude, as soon as possible.
First night.
Pretty much. But it's crazy though, dude. It literally. You
can edit that out if you want.
It is what it is. But dude, honestly, the best thing that ever happened to me. Of course. Like I would never take any decisions back. And yeah, that's kind of like what jump-started my whole like becoming grounded and now finally building something that's gonna last.
Right.
Yeah.
So what if I may ask, what do you mean in regards to everything always needed to be changing, like even with like girls or like a job or whatever? Why do you think that was?
Dude, I don't know. I was just lost, man. I was just looking for the right things in all the wrong places.
Right.
You know? And like, I'm a firm believer that like, if you like ask God and you're genuine with your ask, he's going to answer your prayers. And like, it's not going to be how you expect it. But I was like, dude, I need to change. Like, I saw it in myself. I was like, this isn't sustainable.
Right.
It's not reality. This is just like, I'm running away from something. I didn't know what it was. I still don't know what it is, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, dude, she came into my life and boom, I had a baby. The baby looked just like me. I was like, yes, it is my baby. I knew it is. And then I was like, dude, we have 2 kids now, where she came full time in this business now. She used to do corporate, right? And she was like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I was like, thank you. Come join the entrepreneurial side. Yeah. Like, it's so much more fun, so much more like exhilarating. Scary, way more scary.
Of course.
But it was really fun. And yeah, dude, like I truly feel like this is our life path. Like it feels
right.
Right.
Feels right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, the old saying, obviously, if you love what you do, you'll never, all that stuff totally applies. So back to what you were just saying before. So it sounds like it sounded like to me at the time, and I think you just kind of cemented in my head. You were, just when we all go through it. Especially like this day and age, it's so easy to get lost and to like always be looking for the next thing to make you happy. And once you get to that next thing and it's not making you happy, you just like cut it short before you even get started, just to like not set yourself up for failure. Kind of like it seems so common to me. It seems like maybe that's some of what you were going through.
Yeah, I kind of chalked it up to like commitment issues or like But I was like, I don't know. I couldn't stick with nothing. Everything bored me. You know what exhilarated me before my family? And it was the only thing that really like got me going. It was playing poker.
Playing poker.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Was it poker itself or just gambling? Because that could be dangerous.
It wasn't gambling though. It wasn't gambling. So gambling, yes, because I played baccarat, I played blackjacks, I played craps. So gambling was definitely like a driving force to it. But the idea of poker being even more so of a skill game than a luck game,
Right.
really drew my attention. And of course, the gambling aspect like spoke to me as well, because I came to the conclusion, I'm 30 years old. I have an addiction. I don't know if it's an addiction problem, but like I get addicted to things quickly.
Okay.
We'll say that.
Right.
Right. So it was gambling, you know, like I used to smoke back when I was a kid. I cut that out. And now what my addictions are just work and family. And trying to understand that balance is tough. So right now it's predominantly work, and especially because like work is just, it's still in its infancy. So like I kind of want to get it to a place where it's like self-sufficient and running on its own. But like just finding that balance as a new entrepreneur, I don't know, you know, the ins and outs. So it's like a learning.
I back to what we were saying before, delegation, you know, that helps a lot. And listen, I mean, I think that, and I don't have this, but I think having some sort of mentor with these sorts of things helps a ton, because I think we're actually fairly similar in that way, where you probably, I'll speak for myself. You let me know if you're the same. You get a little lost and you start overanalyzing everything, and then you end up not doing as much as what you would have because you took too long to make that decision.
Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. Because you don't, or I don't, speak for myself once again, like I don't have that mentor per se that's like a huge part of my life that went through the same or similar things that I'm trying to do and accomplish. I think people that have that, I always wish I had that. That would definitely be helpful.
You know what's interesting? And when it comes to the whole mentor thing, is like when I first started out, I was like, dude, I need a mentor. I have no idea, like my ass from my elbow. Like, I don't know what's going on, right? How do I navigate these waters? And how do I even find a mentor? You know, how do I find someone that's already killing it and wants to like teach me?
Why would they take the time to deal with me? Exactly. You could look at it that way, and then you could look at it the other way too. Same result, where it's like, once again, you don't want to set yourself, like you're afraid of the next step, so you just cut it quick right there. You think in your head, screw that, I don't need that, I could do it myself. Kind of like an ego problem. You know
what I learned though? The more I taught myself, and the more I learned, and the more experience I gained, the more people I met. And then through meeting people, I naturally attracted mentor type people. And so now I have like a couple people, and they don't even know that I look at them as mentors necessarily, right? Yeah. But like I have their number, I can text them if I have a question, they can help me out. They're doing something similar, or at least a certain aspect of what I'm trying to do, they know how to do already. Yep. And so like that's how I gained like my mentors, is like just through learning myself and putting myself in a position to meet people.
Right.
You know?
I'm with you on that also. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a couple people that I could always go to ask a question. You know, relationship wise, it's not like, you know, what you would think of as a mentor, where it's like you're with them every other day or something. They're teaching you the tricks of the trade or whatever.
Apprentice or something.
Right, but maybe that doesn't exist anymore. I don't know. You know, other than maybe like a father figure, something like that. But yeah, I that's one thing I always definitely thought that would definitely help me. But then you could always say like, well, I don't have that, so that's why I'm not where I'm at or whatever. But that's just excuse making too, you know. Yeah. Everyone's got their stuff to deal with.
I heard this saying. I don't remember where I heard it from or who said it, but it was like, if you ever find yourself waiting for someone, you already messed up.
If you found waiting for who?
So like, let's just say I don't have a car, right? And I called someone, and now I'm waiting for a ride, and they're like 20 minutes late.
Right.
It's like I messed up because I don't have a car.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to buy a house. I want to look at this house.
Right.
I have to wait for a realtor to come show me this house.
Right.
I messed up because I don't already have my realtor license to just look at it myself.
Right.
So like I kind of look at things in that type of perspective.
Sure.
And I think that's like super important. So like I try to help myself as much as I can, and then eventually I'll get to a certain point where other people just naturally want to help.
It all comes down to taking self-responsibility, right?
And providing value for people, right? Because if I have nothing to help the situation, if I have nothing to bring to the table, why do I deserve to eat from that table? Is
100%. 100%. I totally agree.
Yeah. But dude, so I want to talk about, because like, what came first? And I mean, we already know, but like for camera, like what came first with like Did you want to? How'd you know you wanted to get into real estate? How'd you want to be an investor, like a GC, or like how did all of that kind of like happen?
Well, when I was so my family was always involved in real estate and building, and it started at a really really young age. I was probably just born, and I didn't remember, but even as early as some of my earliest memories in life were literally going out to eat at like a good restaurant because I was a very like well-behaved baby. So my parents would take me out to eat, and then right after we would go look at houses, or they would go look at houses. And this went on for years, and it got to a point where I was like, "Oh my God, like I am doing anything other than real estate when I get older because
You're over
I'm
it.
so tired of talking about houses. This went for this number, that can go for that number. This costs this. This is a pain in the ass here." It was ridiculous, but I was a little kid. I just said that stuff. Went to college, still kind of I was into computers, computer science, that sort of thing. Thought about law school for a while until I kind of nixed that. Started to work at my uncle's title company for a while. So you could see already real estate was creeping in a little bit. And after working there when I was young, I started learning a little, and eventually I was like, all right, let me get my mortgage broker's license, because anything other than a real estate agent, screw those people. They're useless or whatever. Everyone's a real estate agent. They're all full of crap. Tried to mortgage broker, did a couple deals or whatever, but like it was, I didn't really like just sitting in the office. It was a lot of sitting in the office all day, dealing with numbers. I'm not a huge numbers guy.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, and so eventually it's like, you know what? I'm biting the bullet. I'm finally doing it. I'll go get my real estate license. And ever since then, honestly, I've loved doing it. It's just like I said, it's something it's not just me. It's in my family. So like even when we have dinner on a Sunday, like my extended family and I, a lot of the talk is about real estate. So it's kind of very natural and it just fits. And I love even more so than like selling a house or buying a house or whatever. I enjoy the improvement, the building and improvement of a property, like a job site, going there every day, talking with the workers there. That was something that was always kind of instilled in me from a young age. Also, excuse me, from my grandfather. He would always go, every day. He would always tell me, like, you got to make sure your job site's clean. You got to keep an eye on it. If you don't keep an eye on it, it's going to go array. And he would always get his guys lunch every single day, coffee, donuts, whatever. I don't do that so much, but that was always very important to me at a young age, and I try to do the same now, and I enjoy the hell out of it, honestly.
How old were you when you got your first site or like fix?
When I got my first real estate license, or when I bought my first property?
Like when you bought your first property to fix.
It was pretty early on. 2015, 2016, something like that. So that was right after I got my license. I bought a little condo in Palisades Park.
And then going into it, did you like have any like major problems, or like what was the biggest problem that you faced?
Yeah, so it was a condo. I started out with a couple condos because they were cheaper and smaller, and you could fix them up easier and quicker and get out quicker, less risk, in my opinion, at the time. But yeah, the first one, we fixed it up, and then, I don't know, the way that the complex was built, like the sewer system of the complex got like backed up and started overflowing into the bottom level of my condo. Then they had to go in and cut the sheetrock like 3 feet up or whatever, have fans running through. At the end of the day, I ended up, hassling the HOA, saying it was their fault. They ended up paying for it anyway, so it didn't cost me anything. But I was still very, very concerned and nervous about it. I wasn't. Looking back, I guess maybe I was young, but you're not really that. It's not like I was 18 years old. I was, 2015, I was 26, 25, 26, something like that. So yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And that was like the biggest thing. And then after that, you just kind of like.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, it wasn't a huge deal, but at the time, I thought it was a big one.
True.
Yeah, that was my first one. I've had other stuff happen, but then like bigger stuff, insurance comes into play, subcontractors insurance, things like that, where you don't have to worry too much.
If I wanted to become a flipper or like an investor or like in that general field, what are some things you think I should absolutely know and fully understand before like going into it?
If you're gonna like flip properties or build properties or something, the first thing I would say is that it's not as easy as people would make it seem. You know, especially now, especially after the last few years.
Because of social media? Is that what
Yeah,
you mean?
you know,
Making it look like,
yeah. I mean, listen, let's call it like it is. If you bought anything within the last 5 years, you think you're a genius, right? Because everything's gone up 50% since then, or whatever the number is. That's not the case, especially now with like rates being different than they were. You know, there's more risk involved for sure because you know anything can happen. Anything does happen. The market, the real estate market, just like anything else, does not always go up all the time. You can get caught, you know, with your pants down pretty good. So that would be my first thing, and it's not as easy. And expanding on that, people think that like a lot of people think that like real estate investing or whatever, especially long-term real estate investing, is like passive. Like it's not passive at all. Like it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
You're constantly there all the time, or even if you're not there, you're making calls to someone who's got to go there or whatever. So that's not to dissuade anybody, but it's a job. I mean, it's definitely a job. And then if you want to delegate it with a property management or a general whatever, you know, you could do that, but then you have to scale up more to pay for it and things of that nature. So,
how do you like find a team? Like, do you just like give everything to a GC, or do you like hand pick people?
I'm actually a licensed like new home builder myself.
Wait, you need a license to build new homes?
Yeah, in New Jersey. Yeah,
okay.
I mean it's not much. It's like you pay $200 a year and they'll give it to you.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sitting here like I'm a licensed new home builder.
Gotcha.
You know, honestly, anyone could build a new home. I think you know it would take maybe a lot of trial and error, a long period of time. The biggest thing is having good subcontractors, which I definitely do. And not so much because of me, because once again, my family's always been involved with it, and I always go to them for questions and stuff. Who do you use for this? Who do you use for that? And it's extremely helpful. But that's the biggest thing: subcontractors. Anyone could build a house. Anyone could renovate a house. You just need, to your point, a team. Now, if I wasn't me, if I had no experience like prior to that with building or whatever, it depends on the situation, whether I would go hire a general contractor or something like that, because you're going to pay for it. You know, you're going to pay 8%, 10%.
Can you walk me through like this Fort Lee build that we just shot not too long ago?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just literally walk me through start to finish, you even finding it. Like, how'd you even find it to, I mean, we can't say selling it because we haven't sold it yet, but like.
Yeah, so that property, I actually was looking at just as there was an old two-family house there, and they had it up for sale on the market, and it was sitting on the market a while. They were asking too much for it, and this was a while ago now, maybe a year and a half ago. Shows you how kind of long these processes take when building something new. But I was looking at it just as a rental property, honestly. I was like, okay, it needs a lot of work. At the time, the rates were still low, and I was going to buy it and renovate, fix it up, and rent out the 2 units. So I make an offer to them. I think they were asking like $925 and then $875, and then they went to like $850, and I offered them $800, and I wasn't even expecting them to take it. All of a sudden, the kid comes back to me. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get you a signed contract." I was like, "Oh wow, okay, 800. All right, we'll figure it out." So then we went into contract. We had an inspection. There was kind of more work than I was anticipating with the property, and at that exact time, the all of a sudden, that's when the Fed started raising the rates pretty good. That's when the mortgage rates started popping pretty quick, and you know, like we were saying before, overanalyzing, overthinking stuff. I was like, oh shit, like I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but this now it's like it's not gonna work at these numbers anymore. So eventually, I was like, you know what, I'm not interested anymore. And we backed out. And then they came back to me and said, are you still interested? Because the market was getting really nervous at the time. Like, no one was buying anything for that, however, month or two or whatever, because it's like, oh man, like, it's about to hit the fan. They came back to me. It's like, well, are you still interested? I was like, not at that number. He said, what number would you be? I said 700 because I figured that 700 was just the land value of the property. I said, at 700, you could just knock it down and build something new. And worst case, you knock it down, you build something new, a duplex in this situation, 2 units side by side. You keep it if you want, you sell it, or if you don't get what you want selling, you keep it and you rent it out. Right?
How much does it cost for labor and materials to build something like that?
Just the hard cost, probably over $1 million.
So over $1 million plus $700K for the land itself.
Yeah.
So you're looking at
plus soft costs too. I mean, there's you're talking. So hard cost is really just like what it sounds like the price to excavate, the price of the foundation, the framing, the electric, the plumbing. That's hard cost. Soft costs are like getting the permits, interest on the loans that we have, attorneys, architects, all that sort of stuff. So that's soft cost. That wouldn't be included in that number. But yeah.
Okay. So like we're maybe like roughly like $2 million. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, less, a little bit less, but yeah,
a little south
less.
of $2 million. If you were to sell something like that, like would it like? It's worth more than $2 million after you build it. That's what I'm confused about.
Yeah. So I mean, just you could sell them each side or the whole one if someone wants to buy the whole thing, just as a 2-family structure. The asking price is $1.3 million per side, so that'd be 2.6. Yeah.
In because it's Fort Lee too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strong town. It's obviously, where the George Washington Bridge is and things like that. So it's a strong town, buying wise. It's a strong town, rental wise. It's a high demand town just because of location.
Sorry, I just genuinely curious, but we got on a tangent. So okay, so so they get back to you. They're like, "What number are you willing to do?" You said
700, and yeah, it was $100,000 less than what the contract price was for 2 weeks ago. Before that, I was like, they ain't gonna take it, and they took it.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's like you gotta. It's such a tough market, and I'm not some like old school guy. I haven't been around. I haven't seen. I'm only 34 years old, so I haven't seen I wasn't in real estate in '08. I haven't seen really down periods per se. So I'm not sitting here saying I know everything. But the market is much different now than it was a couple years ago. And I have found that there is some opportunity if you're looking to buy a property or something by looking at stuff that's been on the market a while that's overpriced. Because a lot of people just think their house is worth, or their properties, they're sitting on gold. Yeah. And they put it up for whatever number. It's sitting. Because a lot of sellers always think, well, I could always come down. But we know if it's overpriced, people just move on to the next thing, whether it's a home buyer, for themselves or an investor or whatever, there is some opportunity. So go on the MLS or Zillow or whatever, go look at a property that's been on the market over 100 days and just make them I don't want to call it a lowball offer, but an offer you think that they may scoff at, and let them scoff at it. It's okay. You never know.
It's like a closed mouth don't get fed, right?
Yeah. That was an interesting lesson I learned throughout that whole kind of.
Was the first time something like that happened to you?
No, believe it or not. There was another one, a little condo, the second condo that I did. That was a little different though, because it was a short sale, which if you don't know what a short sale is, it basically means that the owner owes more on the mortgage, on the property, than what the property's worth. That one, I don't know what happened. I wasn't even the agent involved in it. But they were asking whatever it was, $350, and we put an offer in for whatever, I don't remember the numbers, $220 or something. And somehow it went through. Somehow their bank approved that number. So yeah, that was kind of a little bit of a lowball offer too. But yeah, just go out and make offers that are lower. You don't know. The worst you could hear is no, and then you move on to the next one.
How do you structure the loans and stuff? So let's just go back to the Fort Lee one real quick. Let's just say you got it for 700. How much are you putting down immediately?
Well, the land is cash.
Oh, so you have to put 700 down flat.
So you don't have to, and each lender's different. But the lender we use can give you money on the land. I did that on one property where I did it myself. This in Fort Lee, I have a partner, so it was a little easier, to come up with the cash for the land. But they'll give you, I believe, 50% of the land and 100% of the hard costs. So if it's use that as an example, 700,000 for the land, you give them 350, and then obviously you pay interest on the other 350, and then they give you a construction loan for the rest for the hard costs.
And the construction loan has to be a little bit more than $1 million, right? Because
Yes.
okay, so all in, and then how much to like start like how much is interest rate on something like that?
I think the interest rate on that one was maybe 8.5.
8.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the good thing about the construction loans is that you only pay on the balance. So like so the construction loan, let's say, is for $1.2 million. You don't just automatically start paying interest on that loan. It's you go do you start excavating, you do the foundation, you do the framing, and then you call the bank and say, I need the money. So they send an inspector of their own out to check to make sure, okay, they did this, they did this, they did this. This is how much that was budgeted for each of those things. This is 100%, like the excavation's 100%, the foundation's 100%, the framing's 80%. They give you that money.
So wait, the work's getting done before you get the money.
Yeah.
And the contractors are cool with that?
Well, it depends on the contractors and stuff and your relationship with them, which is why I said having good subs is like everything. Yeah, I mean, they want to get paid, like, it depends on the sub. Sometimes they'll want something maybe 50% up front. Because you got to be careful with that too. If it's a sub that you don't know or whatever,
burned like that.
Yeah, you could get burnt also. I have no experience getting burnt in that way, but it is something to be considered. But yeah, usually the bank is very quick with it though. So like, let's say all of those things are, I don't know, whatever, 150,000. The bank is very quick with it. They send the inspector the next day, and they wire it into your account. It's very quick, very quick.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you could, if you don't want to start paying the interest on the amount yet, if you have the money, you could just pay them and then just reimburse yourself as well.
Yeah, true. Huh. Okay. What would you recommend for someone that is just trying to start out? Where would you recommend that they focus their energy on? Like, what type of property? Should they just look like into? I mean, obviously, they probably shouldn't do like a whole knockdown and rebuild on their first try. But like, what would you recommend for a first timer?
My first two properties that I invested in as just flips were condos. I generally don't love investing in condos because of dealing with HOAs and stuff.
Yeah.
They could be strict. So they could be, you're kind of beholden to them in a lot of ways when you're going to resell it and things like that. That being said, you can get into something and get your feet wet at a much cheaper price than a single family house usually. So that's something to look into. A lot of it also, I'm not a huge borrowing guy. Like, I don't want to be like over leveraged on any of these things, because it's so easy to I've never gotten a hard money loan. Where I know that's like super common.
That's awesome that you didn't have. Yeah,
it scares me honestly, because
it's a scary loan.
I don't. It scares me half because I've never done it, so I'm not like bad mouthing hard money loans. It scares me. Yeah. It's like it's a high rate, and it's like it's dealing with just stuff I don't know. I mean, if you want to go, I'm not to my point is, I wouldn't go out and just say, oh yeah, look, this guy will give me $500,000 to go buy this house, and all I have to give him is $25,000 or something. It's like, what if something goes wrong? You could be out a lot of money, and you could really set yourself back. And this goes back to what we were originally talking about. Maybe the reason why I feel this way is because I have a family, children, a house that they live in that I have to protect.
Yeah.
Right. If I was 24 years old and didn't have any of those things and had really very little to lose, maybe I would feel differently. But like I said earlier, kind of that's where like your risk tolerance comes into play. Because I mean, people make a lot of money on these things, and all they deal with is hard money loans. So there is a way, but that's where I'm coming from with that.
Have you ever because like it's the script can flip so easily when it comes to hard money loans, and you can be in a bad situation fairly quickly. But have you ever experienced something similar, like where you thought everything was good, the numbers looked good, and then you encountered a problem and you were like, whoa, we're losing money on this big?
Well, Yes, yes, but it didn't end up being that way. So the house, I built a house. I bought it. I bought the property. It was just an empty lot for like 250 grand, and I bought it in August of 2019. So I started building. Then I did the excavation. I did this and that, and that was with no partner. That was just myself, and it was my first new home build. So I did that, and then, of course, later, 6 months later, everyone all of a sudden started talking about something called the coronavirus, and that made me crap my pants. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was very, because you asked about the land loan, 250 grand or 260, something like that. I put up 50%. That was all I had. I had 120 grand. That's what I had. I was down to like $5 grand in my checking account. This is before kids, though, right? I wouldn't do that now. But anyway, so I made it work. And then that happened. I was like, I have all of my money into this project. What the hell happened? Like, you have to remember at the time, everyone thought, who would have thought that home prices would have skyrocketed from people sitting at home? I would have never thought, and stopping the economy. So I was very, very nervous at that time. Looking back with hindsight, obviously a very different story. But yeah, and I'm sure there's, many people in many different types of business ventures or whatever, not even just real estate, they probably felt the same way at the time.
True.
So that's my story.
Dude, that's funny, man.
And I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I gave that house away.
Did you really?
Well, I mean, compared to what it would be now, but
Oh, as in, yeah, you kept it. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
life. That's.
Where was it at?
What town?
Yeah.
Hillsdale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was watching this thing online, and it was like this guy, and he would just buy like land that's landlocked, and then he would build the road from like a road into the land to make it like viable to like live on, and then he would flip his land that way. So all he would do is buy the land, build the road to connect it to the other roads, and then sell that because it was no longer landlocked.
Here, like New Jersey?
No, I think it was like Florida or
that
something.
Yeah. I mean, you start going into other states and stuff. This may lead us off into a different tangent, but the people around here and in areas like it tend to think that we're just like out of land, out of space. We can't hold any. There's so much land in the middle of the country. Like most of these, you can go buy a piece of property in wherever, Tennessee or something for like 10 grand, 20 grand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a piece of property in the middle of the woods. It's got no utilities. It has nothing, but you can.
Have you ever looked into Baltimore?
No, I've never even been to Baltimore other than I was on a train one time down to DC, going down to Washington, and it had to stop. We had to get off in Baltimore. That was enough for me.
Yeah, dude, Baltimore is an interesting place because you said that there's properties that go for like 10 G's, right? Like my wife actually had bought a property in Baltimore for like 10, maybe like 15 G's or something.
Really?
Yeah.
How long ago?
Babe, how long ago?
In 2020.
Can you come here for a second? Because she has way more experience with like flips and like trying to do the investor route. Granted, she got lucky, right? Because I think at the end of the day, they kind of like broke even, and so all the messes was chalked up to like learning experience,
right?
But like,
which there's value to.
Yeah, absolutely. But like now moving forward, I'm like, hey babe, like I'm in contact with a lot of like cool people that are like doing this, and like maybe, and like the podcast is awesome because I can ask you guys questions.
Absolutely.
Babe, where are you? Sorry, she's doing very important administrative work. Also, what time is it? I want to be respectful of your time.
I'm fine.
You good? Okay.
Yeah, other than the parking.
Okay. Yeah, dude, parking's free on this side just for next time.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, but
yeah, what did you buy for 15 grand in a sack of potatoes in Baltimore?
Oh my God, that was a hard mistake.
they did it 3 times. They got 3 properties.
What did you buy?
So yeah, we bought row houses.
Oh, okay.
That's all you see in Baltimore.
Right.
What were the problems?
Oh my God, there's so many problems. It was like if I ever needed a crash course on how to invest or how not to invest in property as a beginner, that was Baltimore for me. But so yeah, my mom and I came into some money in 2019, and then obviously 2020 COVID, everybody's scared in March. It like kind of shut things down. By June, like it's like summertime, not so terrified of COVID anymore.
Yep.
You're like, you know, people are like trying to get out, and I go to her, I'm like, yeah, let's go to Baltimore. Like you can just drive there.
She was on Zillow, probably like, oh my god, everything's $10,000.
Yeah.
This is great.
Exactly. No. Exactly. I started listening to like Bigger Pockets, like
Bigger Pockets podcast. Yeah.
Are you a fan of Bigger Pockets?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was a total newbie. Like I wasn't ready. Like I didn't listen to enough podcasts at the time for me to like, oh, how do you analyze the deal? How do you make sure like the neighborhood is good? What kind of flips you need to go into? Like it wasn't like a quick like fix. It's like a total rehab that these properties needed, which is why they were at the price points that they were. But we went and I actually loved the city. Like the food was amazing.
Was it?
There was like really
It's not bad in the
cool
daytime.
things. Like yeah, exactly. So
Just
we
get in your
were
car
there.
by 7 and you're good.
Yeah, no. So, and I think because it was COVID, so maybe like not enough people were like outside. I don't know, but it was just such a great time. They were like, yeah, let's just do it, and I was like, cash, and we had the cash, but we didn't have the foresight of, hey, maybe start with one.
So you bit off more than you could chew a little bit. Yep.
100%.
Absolutely.
And I think
Especially, sorry,
No,
really
go ahead.
quick, especially something out of your area. So it's not like you could just go run. See, I've always done stuff, and this is an interesting topic to touch on, either this time or next time, but the Bigger Pockets is big on, like, investing in other areas. I'm sure it works, but, like, that, once again, scares me also, because, like, if something happens and you can't go take care of it, that would concern me, for sure. So anyway, go on.
No, I mean, that's lesson number one.
Yeah.
Like, it's told to go outside of, like, the state. They're always, like, bashing on New Jersey, New York.
Right.
Horrible states, blah, blah, blah. Cool. But you don't have a network. I didn't have a network.
Right.
Which is part of the issue. Trying to figure out contractors. It's not, like, yeah, I can drive to it. It's only 3 hours away. But how often can I go to it?
It's 3 hours.
It's 3 hours away.
I can get to Florida in 3 hours on a plane. I mean,
Yeah.
3 hours is a long time.
It's 3 hours. And so I started to realize that, yeah, like, it's a lot of, like, things that I never knew. It's a total rehab. Like, one of the buildings that we bought was a historical building, and so that had its own process.
Oh, so it was a historical. What that, like, there was something with the city that you weren't able to do XYZ, or it made it harder.
Took so
expensive.
much time. Like, it's more of, like, the time, like, just, like, for them to accept, like, us changing the windows or not changing the windows, like, took weeks
Right.
to get a response
Right.
from them. And so if we're talking about weeks of having a decision of, like, ordering or not ordering certain windows, or if we can even change it,
Yeah.
you know, like, the cost associated to that.
What was the
I-
problem you had with the contractor? Because that was a mess, I feel like. And that was like the biggest limiting, like, bottleneck to the flip.
I think it's just finding so again, we purchased 3 properties. We finished the rehab we were working on one, like, at a time.
Were they all next to each other? Oh yeah. Okay, so that's
But
even
like a
harder.
5-10 minute drive, so not.
But still, though, I mean, if 3 properties, but if they're all, like, next to each other, it's basically just like one big one.
Yeah.
But if they're all different, then it's different. Yeah,
we tried to do that, but it didn't work. They weren't selling, so it didn't work.
So yeah, I don't know if you know. You said you're not Baltimore, but Baltimore is really interesting, where it's like, the demographics and the price points of, like, whether or not the property is valuable change, not zip code to zip code, but block by block.
block.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
so that's something I didn't know.
Right.
And I learned that the hard way. So
Yeah.
out of the 3 properties, there was one that was in terrible location. And when I mean it's like a hot zone, like,
yeah.
there's a shooting right in front of it. It was just,
Was there actually?
yeah. There was a shooting right in front of it, right, like, next door to it. We had squatters come in, so we would call
that
them
was a
squatters.
mess.
That was a mess. So, like, after the renovation was complete, and this house is beautiful, it wasn't selling. So we had a problem with the realtor that we got. Like, I don't know. I guess he like listed it and he put it up. He did a couple
Too high and
things.
sad.
But now, we have people knowing that like this house is vacant. And so
Yeah.
squatters came in, they destroyed the house. It was just
So much furniture in the house. You would think that it was like lived, like it was crazy.
They moved furniture in.
Dude, everything, bro. Wow. It was insane.
That's correct. Well, recently there's been a couple issues in the city in New York where there were squatters that moved into the house of this lady. It was like her mother's house or something. I could be getting this wrong, but they were living in there, and she tried to kick them out, and she wasn't able to kick
The
them out.
law's on their side. On the
in
squatter
in New
side.
York and
In
New Jersey.
yeah.
I don't know anything about Maryland's, but in New York, New Jersey,
New
the
Jersey
law.
too?
Yeah. New Jersey with these sorts of laws generally just follows New York, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, and most times, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But yeah, very New Jersey and New York, very I would assume Maryland's not that far off, actually, to be honest with you. But very, very heavily favoring the tenant.
We couldn't
the
call
buyer.
them squatters when we called the cops.
Right,
we had to,
there you go.
We had to say it was a breaking and entry or something. Trespass. Yeah. But if you say squatters, they're like, oh, we can't do anything. Sorry. I was like, what?
you have to say they are trespassing your property instead of, because if you call them squatters, it's already different.
Yeah. They're like, oh, well, they have rights too. So,
Oh, man.
holy
Don't
moly.
even get me started.
Yeah.
I don't see the difference between squatters and
Trespassing? I don't see it either. It's-
Trespassing is like, to me, it would be like, you're in someone's house for like a minute. Like, oh my God, he's trespassing. He broke in.
Yeah.
Not living with furniture. Living with furniture
which is
would be
worse in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
they
I
don't.
think.
It's the complete flip. So that was wild. That was my first time seeing a lot of stuff that I never.
I think
saw
I think it all ends up coming down to like, once again, I'm sure many people do well with like out of state investing and things. You do you, but like I'm with you. Like, I would rather know what I'm investing in. Like, I've been in Bergen County my whole life. You've been in Nutley your whole life, right?
she almost has.
Oh, well, a long time though.
Yeah, her. Yeah,
Right. So you're from Nutley too?
I'm from Nutley.
Gotcha.
dude. I'm Florida, Jersey, back and forth.
You're
every
from
year.
Florida?
Kind of. Yeah.
I thought didn't you say you went to high school here though?
Yeah, so like my parents split when I was a kid. My dad moved to Florida, so like I would go there
and
through the
forth.
summers. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
gotcha.
was- yeah.
But regardless, you're here now. You've been here a long time, both of you. You would feel way more, even if it's 5 times as more expensive. You'd feel way more comfortable
100%.
investing in that property over there.
We
than
tried.
something that you just don't.
We
know.
tried. We got outbid like 3 times in 3 different properties, but yeah.
There's pros and cons to here, obviously. I mean, it's here among other places. It's not like we're so special, but yeah, it's extremely expensive. I mean, even like long-term rental properties. I always talk about that stuff like on my YouTube channel, but in our area, it is almost impossible. It is impossible. I'm going to say it's impossible to find something, to buy a property like a 2-family or something that cash flows. I'm going to say it's impossible.
Really?
Oh, because everyone is, I mean, unless you're getting something off market, you steal the thing or whatever, because everyone is bidding up the price because of future appreciation. You're banking on appreciation around here because of proximity to New York and stuff like that. Cash flow is, man, if you're going to break even on something, go buy it now. Go buy it right now. Generally, you're going to lose, at least a few $100s a month around here for sure. And then with like the rates at 7%, 8, whatever they are, yeah.
So you're just better off like selling it.
Well, that's why that's always what I've done. I'd rather my strategy has always, or my thoughts have always been more development wise and stuff. And then when the time comes, you can start getting into the big stuff like building your own building with rental units in it. That was always my goal. But like, going to buy little 2-families here and there, you'll do well over time. It'll take a long time. And you're not going to make money at first. No way.
So if we want to make a 5-year plan, how long of a plan would you need to do to start building a building with units in it?
What do you mean? What do you mean? How long it takes to do that?
Yeah, like if we're starting from 0, right? And our end goal is to have like a 30-unit building that we've built ourselves.
Yeah.
How much time do you think it would take to build up to be able to do something like that? 10 years?
Are you
20
talking
years?
about like the money that's needed, the knowledge that's needed, or just
everything? Like
Well, I mean, obviously you need some money to get started. Although you could always find
investors, and stuff,
partners, investors. I'm a big proponent of that. It takes a lot of risk off of your plate. It gives you more opportunities. But you need some money to get started with partners and investors.
How
and
do you
things
know
like
the
that.
numbers make sense? Like if like, dude, like if I'm like, hey, I just found this property, or I just found this land, right? And I think it's gonna be really cool. Do you know anyone that would like want to partner up on this deal, right? Like, how do I know that the numbers make sense before I even present it to you?
Well, it would be you have to underwrite the deal. It would be a long. I'd have to write it out and stuff and think about it for a while, to be honest. But you figure out how much the property is going to be, how much it's going to cost to build the property that you want to put, how much the loan is going to cost you interest wise and stuff, closing costs, and permits from the town. The other thing you have to worry about if you're dealing with something big like that is with the town. So, like in my experience, one of the biggest issues that goes on in like the housing market in general, at least around here or suburbs like it, outside of major cities, is okay. You have a lack of housing, right? So builders do want to go build more units. Maybe not so much single family homes around here, but more like townhouses and stuff. So there, like, for instance, there's a property right around my house. They're trying to put it's an old like nursery or whatever. They sold it and they want to put like 50 townhouses there. Like, okay, that's 50 units extra that people can buy, more supply. And I don't I mean, maybe I'm biased. I am biased, but like, I don't care. It helps my property value. What do I care? But once people like already have a home, especially like older people, like baby boomers and stuff, they've been around a long time, and all of a sudden they already have a house. Maybe their kids already have a house. So like all of a sudden they're very, very concerned about the traffic that's going to come from it, or they're very, very concerned. Oh, what about the schools are going to be overcrowded? The town is not the same as what I used to anymore.
I just saw someone post that exact same thing that you just said.
Who said it?
Oh, I'm not gonna put them on blast.
Gotcha.
Like
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Listen, they have a point as well. That's true. You can't have.
But they're not a boomer, dude. They're like our age.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
they're a realtor though.
Realtors are always trying to, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so that's like all of a sudden, like if you go to the town as a builder and you say, I want to put 50 units here, 30 units here, whatever, you're going to get a ton. So you have to go to the town and then they have like a meeting, right? And any, exactly. And the residents have the right to come and, talk to about it, ask questions. You're going to have a ton of people come and say, this is horrible. What about this? What about that? What about the traffic? What about the water? What about this? What about this? What about this? What's this going to do to this? The towns, it all comes down to like, they don't want their own town. It's like the not in my backyard. You ever hear that kind of saying?
Okay.
Where it's like someone's okay with like, oh yeah, we need to build more houses, like, but not here, not in my backyard, but like over there, they should put more. And like the builder or developer is always getting rich, always. Meanwhile, half of these builders and stuff with these developments go broke during it anyway. It's not like they're not like making money hand over fist. I mean, they were for a few years during COVID and stuff when everything was going up. But back to maybe this is full circle here, but back to the first thing you asked me. Like the first thing you need to know before going in is it's not that easy. Yeah. Like none of this stuff is easy, and there's like hurdles, and it's going to cost you time, stress, aggravation, and money in order to get done. But usually at the end of the day, it ends up okay. It's an amount of risk, but you have to be okay with that amount of risk, and it has to be smart risk that you take on.
Yeah, because I mean, just full transparency, we are trying to like. Can I tell them what our grand plan is? Yeah. All right. So look, it's gonna be a building, right? Yeah. I'm gonna pitch Jay on this. So it's gonna hold apartments. It's gonna be mixed, right? So it's gonna be apartments. Then there's gonna be a daycare, right? It's gonna be a cafe. Yeah. It's gonna be like a studio or something like this with offices as well. So it's gonna be kind of like just like this, where it's studio space, offices, a daycare, a cafe, and apartments, all in one building.
So what's wrong with that?
No, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's great.
I just don't know how long it's gonna take to actually realize.
Ah, well, I mean,
what would you recommend unit wise? Is it like a 50 unit building, or do you think we should start small, like a 10 unit building?
A lot of that stuff, especially in northern New Jersey, what I would recommend first is like you got to meet the right people for that. To be honest with you,
what do you mean? What type of people?
it depends what like the town that you're gonna try to look at. Like I don't know much about this town per se, but certain towns, just politically speaking, you meet people, introduce yourself. I'm looking to do this. I'm looking to do that. Do you know who? Back to what we were saying before. Not so much mentor, but I guess this is like networking. I would start with networking with people in the town that you're interested in doing that with.
Like people that are gonna start bringing up objections when I bring it to the
No. People in power in the town.
in power in the town.
The mayor, people on the council. You feel it out.
So
Because
Newark would probably be our best bet because that's the only type of connections we have is in Newark.
yeah, you could start.
I don't know how. Like how? Like what
I
do
don't-
do? Just
I don't
go
know.
into City Hall and just be, hey, what's up, guys?
You just start going to the meetings. I think you go to the council meetings, the board
okay.
meetings, and stuff. I think that's probably
Best
if I
place
were
to
to want to,
start.
that's probably a good place to start because you feel it out. Because a lot of the times they'll say, I mean, depending on the town and stuff, some of these towns are like so corrupt, honestly.
I believe it.
And like they wouldn't let you do that. Like it would have to be this guy over here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe I'm speaking too much, but
No, but this is good to know. And listen, if anything you don't want on camera,
I don't
I'll
care.
chop it up.
What do I
Yeah.
care? That's what I would suggest.
Okay.
How much money would a project like that like?
If you just had to like guess.
I don't know. I mean, I never did one like that before. I mean, I told you it's over. It's you're
it's
into just
2
a
mil,
duplex
just
for a
2 mil.
yeah,
With
let's
the
we're
land.
just round it up to $2 million. So yeah, they could be like 15, $20 million, something like
Definitely
that.
need partners for that.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, that's the other thing too. Yeah, I mean, I would start networking first. Then start speaking with like lenders in some way, and a builder as well that like specializes in those sorts of buildings. And then just a lot of the best opportunities are just word of mouth. A lot of those guys just do word of mouth stuff where it's like, oh, so and so has a property that he's about to buy. He's looking for partners, and then bam, there you go. Yeah.
True. Yeah, I was always curious to like how does one even get into those types of rooms? Just because like, dude, I'm a kid from like you know what I mean, just from bumblefuck Florida, Jersey, sometimes
Yeah,
back
but
and forth.
they are too. I mean, a lot, especially especially in this area, but probably others as well. It's some people tend to think that their shit don't stink.
Oh yeah, but that's anywhere, right?
That's anywhere. But yeah, I mean, it's all comes down to just like confidence and stuff. And I'm not perfect. I'm not here preaching or anything, but
Experience helps with that too, right?
yeah, yes, yeah. Experience. You gain confidence just going through each project or whatever.
How
learning.
many projects have you flipped through?
I don't know, like not that many, maybe 8 or 9.
Huh.
8 or 9. Yeah.
Like
I
the
tend
past,
to.
what,
Well, I
10
tend to do like. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
I just told you that duplex. I bought it. I made the offer on it. This had to be 2 years ago. So, and we just finished it.
Which is an incredible buy that you got it for.
Yeah.
Can't believe they sold it at land value.
Yeah, and it all once again, it's not my full-time thing. I'm still out there looking for more properties to sell and all these sorts of stuff. So it's kind of half and half.
Do you think your time would be better served doing this full time, or do you like having it split up? Because like that's a genuine concern of mine for myself and my business.
Of course, I would like it better full-time, but you also have got a family feed and stuff like that, so it's way more risky. You need
risk mitigation.
Yeah, I
is
mean
really what it comes down to.
yeah, I mean it's more risky. You're when you're relying on the big paydays once a year or whatever. What happens if that something happens and that payday doesn't come? Then it's like But you need to take risk.
So you're saying being a realtor is more reliable than being a investor flipper?
Oh, of course.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean it's absolutely yes.
Because I thought investor flipper is just like it's just math. It's like buy, sell.
I come
realtor is like people skills. I gotta sell myself.
You still need to do that. You need to do that no matter what you do. You need to do that with Goose Media Group, right? In my opinion, there's been many times, more often than not, a property or a deal will come across my desk, and I'll be like, I'll just make up numbers. I could make $20,000 as a realtor, or I can make not that much, $60,000 as if I bought it and flipped it, whatever. But that $60,000 is a lot more risk, a lot more work. It's going to take a year. I'll just go find a buyer for this and make the 20 grand right now, and then put it into something that could make me more than that all the time.
What are you thinking?
No, I think that's awesome. I have questions though. Like, what do you think is like your most, like, the biggest lessons that you've learned so far?
Biggest lessons I've learned so far, like investing or just real estate in general, or like in regards to what?
I think in what you're doing, both as a realtor, as an investor, and also as a husband and a father. Like, what have you learned through your experience, and how did you learn that? Like,
I think the number one thing that we actually already touched on way earlier was the that you have to let go, and this goes for any business. I think you have to let go and delegate, or else you're not going to get to the level you're supposed to get to. Like you, I'll call it a perfectionist or a control freak or whatever. Where if it's not being done, like we said, if it's not being done 100%, I'm pissed off. But you have to let that go. Let someone else do it for 80%. That way they could do more. And you could do more too. It just frees up your time. As I've gotten older, and one of the biggest lessons I've realized is that time is, you hear it all the time, but time is the most valuable asset we have. And instead of running around like a chicken with no head, doing these menial tasks that you could pay someone much, much less to do for you, you're not going to get anywhere. I would say is the number one thing I've realized over the last decade or so. Just working and in family life and everything like that. For instance, I don't go on showings anymore. Even as a realtor, I don't do showings.
Do you have a team or something? How would you?
I pay someone to go show for me.
And they're a realtor as well?
Yeah. Usually, yeah.
And would they be considered J. Costa group?
Yeah, it could be anyone. I could go, like, my brokerage is big. It's all around the country. I can go. I mean, I have a couple people that I know now that I just go right to it. But I pay them $50 to go show a place. If I didn't pay for $50, I mean, it would take me, it would be an hour and a half.
That's gas.
Right.
Yeah.
So for $50, to save $50, I'm going to go take an hour and a half of my time, especially on a weekend when I could be sitting with my kids and doing, no way. I'll pay the 50. You know, I just don't do it. I mean, unless, certain situations you have to show your face, but, small stuff. No.
That's cool.
Back to delegation and stuff.
Yeah.
how do you have any systems that you use to help you delegate or to keep track of everything that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I have a CRM for my business, both real estate and investing.
What do you guys use?
Follow Up Boss.
Follow Up Boss. Is that like strictly real estate stuff?
Pretty much, yeah. It's like strict real estate. I use it for real estate sales as well as investing. We make calls with a dialer, a Mojo dialer. Not really anything else other than that. I have a transaction coordinator to deal with transactions, so I don't have to deal with getting paperwork signed and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I've always stayed pretty lean, and I'm not like a team guy. Like where, you see these real estate teams.
Yeah, you don't like teams?
No, not that I don't like it, just not me.
Oh.
Because I don't like, I always felt like I didn't want to be training a realtor.
Yeah.
That's always been my thought. So I'd rather just delegate in another way. Like, for instance, you asked about the showings. I could build a team and have someone show this and that, whatever. But like, then I'm training them, and then eventually they're going to get to a point where like, I'm just going to leave and do this on my own now. And then I have to start from the beginning. I don't know. That was always been my thought. I don't have any experience with it. I was never on a team. You got to just know your positives and your negatives, I guess, as a person. I just, that never enticed me. But that's probably on me, to be fair. It's probably my fault.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you don't like teams, right? You still have your team when it comes to flipping and stuff. So it has...
Yeah. No, I meant like like your traditional real estate brokerage team. Like, okay, they're the listing agent. We have a couple buyers agents. We have this. We have that.
I think I've heard more negative than I've heard positives for teams personally. But again, I think you're absolutely right. Depends on the situation. Depends on the people. But yeah, I don't know. I think your story is awesome. I think it's fascinating how you were able to like merge your whole background and really like become who you are today. It's inspiring, honestly, dude. Like
I appreciate
I
that.
I wanna take footsteps behind you and figure out, because we would love to start like investing and flipping in property, but like we have to deal with handling this situation right now.
Yeah, but I mean, you're building. I think patience is key, honestly, and we're
still learning that,
You're
too.
You're a little younger than me, but not much. We're about the same age.
Yeah.
I have a couple more gray hairs than you, but like patience is, I think, is so key, because it's so easy to be looking on social media and stuff. Oh, this guy's got this, that girl's got that. What am I doing here, sitting late at night in the studio?
It's the
you,
grind.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah,
You know what you're doing. You're not. You're saving your money. You're investing it in your business, in yourself. I could tell you guys are doing big things here. Truly, I do not blow smoke.
Thanks, man.
You are, for sure.
Yeah, it's totally different than the last time you came, right?
I've been here like 3 times. It's different each time.
Yeah. We're always trying to make it new. But yeah, I mean, do you have any more questions?
What is like what advice would you wish you had?
Oh, like to your younger self. What would you
Like how young?
Probably when you were confused and lost and didn't know where your life was going.
Oh,
Right? Is that fair?
I would say that because there was a time in my life where, just out of college, like anyone else, you're confused. You're told that you have to go to college. I don't know what your guys' opinions on college or not, but
I'm not a fan.
you're told you have to go to college. I was really forced to go to college. I had no reason to go to college. Total waste of time. Didn't help me at all. And there's opportunities everywhere, and I didn't take advantage of them, I'm sure. But yeah, out of college, you're just totally lost. And then everyone is like pointing you in this direction. Maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do that. I think it seems so simple, but you just have to get started doing something instead of just like churning your wheels doing nothing and not going anywhere and overthinking and overanalyzing stuff. Like, well, if I start this business, but that's gonna not do this. Just start something. Like, for instance, it didn't even come up in this podcast. When I got the first thing I did was I started a golf ball company.
What?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. So it's an interesting story. I was never into golf. All of a sudden, I got into golf out of college. I started playing a lot, and then I was like, you know what? Like, all these golf balls are like really expensive. The Titleist Pro V1s and stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna start my own golf ball company.
What's the price point on a golf ball like that? I don't know.
I mean, this was
$50?
I don't even play anymore. But I think a whole box of a dozen at that time was like 45 or 50. With inflation and stuff, it's probably 100 now. I don't know. But I was like, man, these are so expensive. It's like there's got to be a direct to consumer way to get this done. So I started looking into manufacturers of golf balls. I found this company. They were in Taiwan, and which is Titleist and stuff is not made in America or whatever. I tried some from China and I tried some from Taiwan. The China ones are total garbage. Went with Taiwan. Okay, they were really, really good. Anyway, they send me a whole bunch. I started like an LLC. All of a sudden I was an importer. It came into Elizabeth or Newark or whatever. I went to go pick them up, got them, okay. And then it was called Lightning Golf Balls. It was direct to consumer subscription. Oh, we'll send you per month or whatever. And, I never made any money with it, but maybe I got my money back, maybe. Anyway, one day I got someone served a summons at my door. Came to my door and served me a summons saying, you've been served. And I was only 21 at the time. So I looked at it. It was like a packet of paper like this thick. Titleist sued me.
No way.
Yeah, they sued me and like 4 other golf ball companies, like boutique, I would call them golf ball companies that were using the same distributor as me, manufacturer. And they were saying that, whatever the dimple pattern used was, it violates a patent and whatever and all this stuff. Yeah. So I had to settle with Titleist. It was very bizarre at the time. So I got sued by Titleist. I throw that around all the time.
Pretty cool.
I guess. Yeah. But yeah, it was so anyway, long story short, I was like, well, what are you guys gonna do with me? They let me sell out my my inventory, and I had to just sign something saying that I was never gonna sell golf balls again. But and that's when I stopped playing golf.
No way. That's funny,
But
man.
to your question, I was into golf at the time. I was just like, let me just start a golf ball company.
Just doing something.
Like, it's such a unique learning experience that, like, if I didn't do that, not that it was some successful venture, but if I didn't do that huge learning lesson, because it was my fault, right? Like, I didn't do my due diligence with the manufacturer or whatever. It was generally my fault. Huge learning lesson, huge experience for me to go through. And, something that was valuable at the time, looking back at it, that would have never happened if I didn't just do something. You got to do something.
Doers do.
Yeah. You can't just sit and complain all the time. Although sometimes I do that too.
I like to do that sometimes. I like to do that a lot of times, actually. Probably shouldn't, but it's fine. That's what spouses are for, right?
Yeah.
You just complain to each other. I mean, dude, I'm good. I want to be respectful of your time. It's already a little late.
Absolutely. Man.
Is there anything you want to touch on? You got anything coming up? You need to let people know about open houses, you looking to hire, whatever. Anything coming up?
Yeah, we're looking. Well, first we put that duplex up for sale just yesterday with your awesome pictures and stuff. We're gonna have an open house there this weekend probably. I got a ton of. Yeah, it's 820 Kingsland Lane in Fort Lee. $1,299,000 per side, or you can buy the whole thing for $1,299,000 times 2, whatever that 2.6, just under 2.6. I'm not a numbers guy. I told you that.
That's it.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, if you're looking to, if you have a property that's either land value or something that needs work or whatever in the northern New Jersey area, if we're not interested, we may very well be interested in it. If not, we can get you connected with one of our building partners, investing partners, depending on the area and the type of property. So definitely check us out on our website for sure.
What's the website?
CostaPropGroup.com, or you can go on like the real estate website, which is searchbergen.com.
Yeah, I mean, this dude's solid. You see it yourself. Dude, thank you so much for
Thanks
everything.
for having me.
I've learned a lot.
It's the first podcast I've been on, so hopefully I did it right. Yeah.
Oh, no, dude, it's going to be great. We're going to chop it up into shorts. I'll send them to you if you want to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no, this has been awesome. Dude, thank you so much. We got to do this again, bro.
Yeah, I'm down anytime.